Welcome to Beyond the Coverage. I'm Chris Horner. In today's edition, what would I like to talk about? I would like to talk about gravel racing. Has it lost its innocence? Did you guys watch Sunday's Gravel World Championship, the men's event? Well, you can tell at that moment, on that day, at that place and time in the world, that gravel has lost its innocence. Money has come into the sport now, and gravel is no longer going to be what it grew up as in the US in the early days, where there was really no rules. It was every rider out there for themselves, and it was supposed to be done on merit. Strongest guy wins. No team trade battles back there, no tactical games going on. Strongest guy wins, and he could win with his tactics, but you couldn't win as trade teams and stuff in the early days. Then we started seeing Ted King bring in the aero bars into the gravel events, and there was a big old argument going on until finally they started coming up with some rules in the gravel. But we start going into Sunday's race, and you're going to ask, Chris, I didn't see that. Some of you guys might not have seen it. The commentators that were calling it live didn't see how the sport had changed on Sunday's race. How did it change, you're asking me? Well, let's go into 80 kilometers to go, and let's see the 16 riders at the front of the group there at the Gravel Worlds in Leuven. The race was just over 180 kilometers, and they're racing in Belgium. If I take you back to 2021, remember when they had the Men's Road World Championships there in Leuven? And it was that debacle that came out where Julian Alaphilippe destroyed the whole Belgium team, and then all the Belgium riders, Wout van Aert and everybody, along with the Belgium coach jumping on Remco Evenepoel and all blaming it for him being in that early attack and driving it. I told you then that Remco Evenepoel did the right stuff because that's what his director told him to do, and he was a young kid. Now here at the Gravel Worlds, I don't know what the director was telling you because I don't even know if they have a director. There's not a car following back there that's working for Team Belgium. They have support on the side now, getting feed through feed zones. They have support when you look there at Thies Benoot from the Belgium, where he flatted and he had a staff member setting up there ready for the team. So now they have some help. But as far as I know, they don't have a director talking to them in their ear. But do they have a director back at the hotel sitting down all the Belgium guys and saying, hey, we're racing this as a national team. We got to win here for Belgium. We are in Leuven. This is a nightmare place to be in if you take you back to 2021. We want to change that here today, and we want to win. But you have Mathieu van der Poel in the race. So tactically, if you had a Belgium coach there at the hotel, I would be saying that we're racing together. We're going to play tactical games and win, assuming that's okay. But I'd want everybody to be on the same page. But when I take you into under 80 kilometers to go and I show you the 16-rider group up in the front, 10 riders are from Belgium. 10. There is one Mathieu van der Poel in there, and he has one teammate. Mate Mohoric is in there for Slovenia, and he has one teammate in there in Govichar. But other than that, these guys are completely outnumbered everybody that's in this group with 10 riders from Belgium. There's no way they can lose. Yet if I fast forward you to the finish, I'll show you Mathieu van der Poel soloing there for Netherlands, crossing the line to get himself another rainbow band here in a different discipline. Now, how did that happen? Well, it happened because the sport now of gravel has completely changed and the innocence is gone. Money has come into gravel, and when I show you what's happening here at the Gravel World Championships with 60 kilometers to go, once Mathieu van der Poel lights it up and he's got Connor Swift on his wheel, well, now Jasper Stuyvens has figured out that money has entered gravel, and now quickly everyone else watching from the Chesterfield should understand this important moment when Stuyvens is looking over there at Gianni Vermeersch, Alpecin de Koenig, not Belgium. He's wearing a Belgium jersey, but he's Alpecin de Koenig, and Mathieu van der Poel going up the road is Alpecin de Koenig. In fact, when I back it up to show you that 16-rider group there, 4 of those guys wearing Belgium jerseys are actually Alpecin de Koenig riders in disguise. Now, the second rider there riding for the Netherlands, he's not Alpecin de Koenig, but he is riding for Mathieu van der Poel. So there's 6 riders there all trying to help Mathieu van der Poel win, counting Mathieu van der Poel. So 6 out of 16. Now, all of a sudden, the odds are not that good for Belgium when you start thinking about 4 of those riders from Belgium, Xander Mayus, Timo Kielish. We start looking at Gianni Vermeersch and Quinten Hermans all wearing Belgium jerseys. They're in disguise. Okay, so as they're in disguise, we see the 2 Belgian riders riding the front. Mathieu van der Poel attacks. Take you into where I've already talked about, where we see Jasper Stuyvens having it out with Gianni Vermeersch, figuring out at this moment, with just after the attack from Mathieu van der Poel, that, oh, they're not 4 on 3 right here. They're actually Matthew van der Poel and 2 teammates. So they're 3 against 2 Belgian riders. And then, of course, Connor Swift is in there and Matej Mohoric is in this group. So the odds are not that good. And Jasper Stuyvens, at 32 years of age, has figured out here at under 60 kilometers to go that they're actually outnumbered. Now, I fast forward you into 40 kilometers to go when it was Florian Vermeersch, the real Belgian rider, attacking, and Matthew van der Poel going with him. Those 2 riders will hold off the group behind of 5 chasing back there, as Jasper Stuyvens, though, has all lost tactically on what to do here. At times, he's playing the Belgium teammate by not rotating through at the front and helping Matej Mohoric and Connor up there, Connor Swift from GB team. He's not helping them because he's playing a tactical game. But he's playing a tactical game saying, well, it's my Belgian teammate at the front. The problem is your Belgian teammate at the front is rotating through with Matthew van der Poel. So is it a tactical game or not? Well, okay, he's playing tactical games. They start attacking a little bit, but the gap up to the 2 riders keeps increasing until 13 kilometers to go, where Matthew van der Poel attacks Florian Vermeersch and solos to win another discipline of rainbow band jersey when he crosses the line. He'll cross the line for first. Florian Vermeersch will get second. Quentin Hermans from Alpecin de Koenig, who's wearing a Belgium jersey, will round out the podium here, and we'll see Jasper Stuyvens get 4th here at Leuven. If I back you up to 2021, well, Jasper Stuyvens was top 5 at that Men's Road World Championship debacle, and now he's getting another debacle here at Leuven, but the only difference is it's in the Gravel World Championships. But he's learning the hard way. Now afterwards, Stuyvens is all upset to the press, and he's complaining that, of course, Alpecin de Koenig were riding as a trade team here, not as a national team. Well, you should have figured it out before the race. If you had a coach there, he would have sat all of you guys down, like I talked about earlier in the video, and said, hey, what is our plan? Are we racing as a national team, or are you guys from Belgium who ride for Alpecin de Koenig, the 4 of you, are you going to ride for Matthew van der Poel? Well, it didn't take very long to figure that out, but Stuyvens got lost. When we go back to the attack there of Matthew van der Poel and Connor Swift following his wheel, Tim Miller was in the 3rd group back there. Now, why do I want to bring that up? Well, Tim Miller might not have figured out that Alpecin de Koenig and disguised Belgian teammates were back there. So if I'm Tim Miller and I'm looking and I don't know they're riding for Alpecin de Koenig, first off, who are we kidding? I would have asked at the hotel if you're riding for Belgium or you're riding for Alpecin de Koenig. And if they didn't ride for Belgium, then we would have had some problems for sure. But at this moment, assuming that Tim Miller didn't figure out what was happening, that 2 of the riders wearing Belgium jerseys are actually Alpecin de Koenig, he might have thought those guys would bring him back up to that front group, because if he goes up to that front group, he gets a free ride. He's Tim Miller, the fastest, one of the fastest sprinters in the world, and Tour de France stage winner, Giro d'Italia winner, and everywhere else winner. So if his teammates up there can bring him back up to that front group, if Jasper Stuyvens realizes that, hey, as he did realize, we saw it in the article, and we saw it with 60 kilometers to go, that these guys are Alpecin de Koenig riders and not Belgium, stop working. When he was rotating through with Matthew van der Poel and his 2 teammates from Alpecin de Koenig, Quentin Hermans and Vermeersch, when he's rotating through with them, he's bringing Matthew van der Poel further away from Tim Miller. You want Tim Miller to come back to that group. You want Alpecin de Koenig riders to have to control that group for Matthew van der Poel. And then when Matthew van der Poel attacks, you want your true Belgium teammates to pull Tim Miller to the finish line in there and try to bring back Matthew van der Poel. Could they have brought him back and have Tim Miller win the Gravel World Championships? I couldn't tell you that. That's too hard to predict, because Matthew van der Poel is a quality first-page rider that might have soloed and not been capable of bringing back. But with 60 kilometers to go, if you say, well, he got dropped at 60 kilometers to go, that's true, he got dropped at 60 kilometers to go. But did he know that Timo there was Alpecin de Koenig? Did he know in there that Xandro Mayus was Alpecin de Koenig? Because if you thought they were your Belgian teammates, you'd have thought they just brought you back on. So he might not have gotten dropped. He might have just been trying to save some energy and save some legs, know that his teammates in the front wouldn't work with Matthew van der Poel if they're actually riding for Team Belgium. They would all sit up, it'd come back together, they could control the peloton, and Belgium could win in Leuven the Gravel World Championships. It was a debacle of epic proportion on Sunday's race, But the main thing I want you to focus on is that the Innocence of gravel is done and dusted now, and it finished on Sunday because big money has entered the sport right now of gravel. And when you see the crowds there in Leuven's, as we see Matthew van der Poel round in the final corner, coming down the straightaway with massive crowds there, you know money is in the sport. And if money's in the sport, you better have it figured out in the hotel room before the race starts, whether or not if your teammates there are really for Belgium or if they're riding for Alpecin de Koenig's Matthew van der Poel. Because Jasper Stuyven's interview after the race, he makes it clear that he's upset that Alpecin de Koenig were riding for Matthew van der Poel. But Stuyven's, you're 32 years of age. You should have had that figured out in the hotel. And if you did have it figured out in the hotel, you got a lot of reason to be complaining. But once you see that they're Alpecin de Koenig, you don't work with those guys, you bring it back, and you have Tim Mallere come back in there, as I've already described why. Tim Mallere wins because if you said, like you did in the article, that you thought it was a national trade team event here, well, if that's the case, tactically you raced wrong. If you didn't have it figured out at 32 years of age, that you were racing with Alpecin de Koenig teammates, well, you're a knucklehead. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next edition real soon.